All right, Mars, we're recording now. So welcome to lesson one. Today's going to be an overview. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and jump into this tool called MeisterTask. So MeisterTask is a great tool for project management and keeping lists. And so let's go ahead and set up a project for you. So new project, and we'll call this Mars Kingsbury. Can you see the screen okay?
Yeah.
Okay, it's not too tiny?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, cool. And what's your email, Mars?
kingsburymars.mk@gmail.com.
Awesome. And what we'll do is we'll actually switch, we'll make you a new email soon where it's going to be at your own .com later. So for instance, under goals column, so I just hit a little plus to add another column. And now we have a goals column. And I'm going to hit plus here to add a card, a task card. And that card is going to say, set up a .com and email address at mars'ssite.com, right?
Right.
So that's one of our goals, is to do that. And so goals, let's go ahead and make goals, what, green? And we can pick something like an icon, like a flag or something. There we go, checkered flag, right? And let's put that, we'll leave that on the right side. So normally the way that MeisterTask starts is it gives you open tasks, in progress, and done. So like, let's say that this was a task. Well, up until we start doing it, it's just an open task. So maybe another open task is learn about websites.
Right.
Now, in progress is going to be lesson one, because right now we're actually doing the work, right? At the end of the call, we'll move lesson one to the done column. Make sense?
Okay.
So these are your open tasks. These are like ideas for things that you want to get done. And then once you start doing them, boom, move it there. Once it's done, move it there. And when it's done, you can actually click on the card itself and hit complete. Make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay. And if I want to restore that, I would just click on these little three dots right here and hit restore. And now it's no longer marked as done. So rather than lessons being in the done column, let's go ahead and make a column for each one of our lessons so that we can start to keep track of everything we're doing. So lesson one is going to be basically our overview call, right? I'm going to introduce you to some tools. I'm going to show you a little bit more about tools like Teams and all the different apps I use to run a business. And you can get a very holistic picture of how to basically get anything done. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so recap. What's going to happen is within this board, this MeisterTask board, it's going to grow with more lists, with more cards, and then inside those cards are going to be punch lists. So you can add a checklist item. So let's make a checklist for the tools we're going to learn today. Cool?
Yeah.
And then I'm also going to, and then I'm going to add another checklist for, so if I click on this little arrow, I can add yet another checklist. So I'll add a new checklist, and this one is going to be for things to buy. Okay, this will be your shopping list after lesson one. So for instance, I'll show you a G602 mouse. It's an 11 button mouse. That's awesome. And it's only like 30 or 40 bucks. Okay, so, and then under tools, let's add a couple checklists. So I'm going to show you Zoom, which is what we're talking on now for video, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to show you Webflow. Webflow is for building websites. Let's go backwards. So I'll show you Webflow. I'll show you Fiverr for basically being able to find services for just about anything you can imagine for pretty inexpensive. I'll show you Toby for keeping track of your bookmarks, and SalesMate for CRM, and QuickBooks for accounting, G Suite for your email and your Google Docs, Microsoft for Microsoft Teams, which looks like this, and other things as well. Melodics, which is going to be a great tool for learning music. And we'll start looking for a MIDI keyboard for you as well. We'll talk a little bit about your posture and how you approach your desk, right? Your office environment.
Right.
I'll share a little bit more information about funnels and how funnels work. ClickFunnels being a great example of that. We can talk about and just review some of what Ty Lopez teaches and look at his course catalog, and also kind of analyze what is his funnel. In fact, let me go back and put, so tools, we have, I'll add another checklist here for things to do. So the first thing that we did is learn how to set up a Meistertask project and learn how it works, okay? Second task might be to, or a later task will be to review, you know, what are funnels, and review ClickFunnels and another tool. And so on. So another thing we'll do is review Microsoft Teams and learn how you can accomplish, how you can get organized and accomplish anything. So those are going to be a few of the things that we're going to do today. I'm going to move this one up. So I can do that by grabbing these little 3 lines and just move it wherever I want into the checklist. And then what else? I can add things as we go. So those are some of the tools. Let me just go ahead and type them in. So we've got Zoom and Webflow. We've got Fiverr for where you can order services. Toby for bookmarks. We've got SalesMate, which will teach you about CRM. QuickBooks for accounting. G Suite for your docs and spreadsheets and all that. Microsoft Teams. And then we've got Melodics for music, desk posture, which is something we will review after Teams. What else do we have here? Ty Lopez is not a tool. Ty Lopez courses.
Hey, is it cool if I ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
Typically with funnels, don't you need to have like money to like get people into the funnels through like ad marketing and stuff?
So let me answer that in 1 second. I'm just going to write down the rest of the tools. We have a mind mapping tool, which I'll show you today, calendar, your computer, and the future education. Okay, so now we've basically set up an agenda for today. So we have a whole checklist of tools we're going to review today, right? We have things that we're going to accomplish, and that really needs to go above that checklist. So I'm going to move that up above tools. And then we have a list of things to buy. And if we come up with more checklists for lesson 1, we can just put them in here. Make sense?
Yeah.
And so now lesson 1 is nice and clean and in here. And if there's any files that I show you or anything important, we can attach it here if we'd like.
Okay.
Yep. I'll also create a column. If you remember, I hit the plus button to create a column, and we'll call this one homework. Or we can come up with another word for it. But and we'll just keep making columns as we go. And then once we have too many, we'll find a way to get more organized again. So let's look at some tools real quick. But first, you asked me a question. Tell me the question again.
Yeah, typically with funnel marketing, do you need lots of money to like get people into the funnel to get customers? Or is there alternate routes like search engine optimization where like you can get organic traffic and that's just more dependent on effort more so than money?
Okay, cool. So let's grab an image. So I just did a Google search and then I clicked on images. What is a funnel? So let's see if there's a good sales funnel on here. So this one's fine. So you'll see at the top is your online marketing. That's how you get people into your funnel, right?
Right.
That could be through a website, through search, You can post questions and answers on a tool like Quora, and that might be a place to meet people and show that you're an expert. Or a forum like Reddit, or maybe you post YouTube videos and people find your YouTube videos just like you found me originally when you saw my YouTube crowdfunding video, right?
Right.
So those are all tools that you can basically build yourself. You may have to pay a fee to have website hosting, but that's not expensive. It becomes much easier to drive traffic when you're actually paying for it. So if you're paying for ads, or you're promoting YouTube videos, or you've put a lot of money into SEO or time into SEO, so your search engine rankings go up over time, those are ways to get people in. And you can basically figure out, if I put $10 in ads, hopefully I get $11 or more back, right?
Right.
So that's the money equation, but it's not only money that you can go put into getting customers. As an example, you know, you met Roger, who became a client, and Roger's someone who was your teacher, and you happened to mention, hey, Roger, you know, if you need help with your website, meet Justin.
Right.
So for me, that was a referral. I got a referral through you. That didn't cost me any money. And for you, you know, someone you know, a friend or family member or whoever, may have ended up being a good client that made you some money, right?
Yeah.
So you do not need to spend money in order to make money necessarily. It just helps.
Hmm.
And then one thing to mention as well, we'll put a team column here. And one thing that's cool about MeisterTask, you can change colors, right? So if I want the team column to be blue instead of purple, so I can match columns to, if homework and team were meant to be together, you know, you would have all the columns meant to be blue together so that you can see just the blue columns and then just the red columns and so on. So let's make team orange, and we'll go ahead and pick an icon that represents the team. Let's see, where's people? I'll just use this one for now. For homework, I'll click this little arrow and pick an icon that represents homework. What's a good one?
Yeah, because I was reading earlier about this this book called Funding Businesses with Customers, and I was talking about like the 5 business models you can use, like subscriptions or go viral, and there are a couple of others like matchmaking, where they talk about how to get funding for your business. They said if you can fix the problem and for the customers, then you can get, I guess, like funding becomes easier. I guess the funding solves itself or something. But I'm thinking like, because like even just to make a website, it costs like $5,000 generally. So I'm thinking to myself, like, how do you like get like funding? I mean, like how like as far as like funding, like how do you like get? I mean, how does one even get customers to fund their business in the first place if you have zero capital? Is what I'm getting at. You know what I mean? It's not about just solving the problem. It seems like it's more than that to me.
Well, a lot of these tools have free trials, which will run out. You know, so if you don't have any money, then that's that's an issue. But you don't need $5,000 to build a website. You need $5,000 to build a beautiful website when you're hiring people who are pretty high hourly rate. But just to set up a basic website, you just need to be able to cover the monthly fee of the service and learn how to build your own site, or even exchange time or services with someone who can help you, right? Like in our case, you and I are going to build your website together on one of these lessons, right? So which you'll see how simple it can be. So it's going to take a little bit of money, right? You're paying some money for the lessons. You are likely going to have to, we're going to put together a little budget of tools that you can and cannot afford to use. So like, and a lot of these tools start with free versions, which is great. So we'll start to budget that out and understand what are the basics that you can do for free or for cheap. And then as you grow, And as you have more money coming in, you'll be able to do upgrades along the way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, cool. So you can see this is starting to come together. We've got tasks, we've got things that are in progress, things that are done. So these will fill up as your area for doing stuff. So let's make those all blue so that they match. And red will be, or sorry, green will be the goal, right? So done will be done, and so on. So let's go ahead and learn about websites real quick, right? So here's a company that allows you to build websites that should cost $5,000 or $10,000. It's just a beautiful tool called Webflow. And it's got all these great tools built in to grow your following. And you can just click edit on your site and easily switch out background images or change text, which you'll see they're doing on the screen now.
Mhm.
So building a website's easier than ever. You're generally just going to buy a theme or a template that's already ready to go and change the text to match your brand or your company or whatever it is you're trying to create. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So remember, there's templates for everything. One of the things I'm going to show you later is this company is a education company that's great. And they have templates for a lot of stuff. So let's see here if we can scroll through their site. So as an example, project management class, that will come with templates. The perfect proposal for $47, they're going to show you how to design a gorgeous proposal, and they give you the template ready to go. So you're just going to go in and switch out your content. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there's companies that will just sell you templates and you can figure out how to change it yourself. Or this one, there's companies like this that come with education. And one of the things I want to do actually is I want to show you the structure of websites. So let's add this to the things to do. Review structure of websites and apps. Okay. So before we go too deep, we've got all these different websites, right? And one thing they all have in common is they have a homepage. Yeah.
Yeah.
So your job, as you get more and more into growing your business, you're going to get really good at visiting websites and evaluating their software really quickly.
Mhm.
So you can scroll through and, Zoom, it doesn't really show you their software, which is always a pain. So you're going to have to go deeper into the site. But they do have videos, so you can learn a little bit more. And you can see what their main things are that they offer. So Zoom offers meetings, webinars, conference rooms, phone systems, and chat, right? So we get the feeling that Zoom is this like communications hub. Now, if you were to build a website for a different product, a different company, what would their 5 pillars be? So this is just a template that shows here's the 5 main features. Here's what testimonials there are. Here's why you should use Zoom. Now, if this was my business, maybe the 5 main features are we have cool hardware products, we've got cool services, we've got education, we've got an operating system, and we've got secretaries available. Let's see here. Did I lose you? Okay, so if you're watching this video, it'll either be cut here or you can skip ahead to when he comes back. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and pause the share. Zoom recording. Okay, and we're back. So before you got disconnected there for a moment, I was just showing you that this is basically a template that shows, Zoom is the company. It's always in the top left or in the middle is their logo. You usually have a sign up button on the top right. Then you have what are their main features, some testimonials, and why would you use this? This is kind of a general theme you'll see across from most sites. So when you build your own sites, you can learn from the best and start to use similar templates.
Right.
Okay. And then usually at the bottom, you can find a support phone number or whatever, or contact us. And sometimes they'll have phone numbers and sometimes not. I like to schedule meetings a lot. And also most websites or many websites these days have a little chat area where if you have a question about their software or want to schedule a demo, you can just do that right here through that little chat button at the bottom right. Make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. And so these guys have a chat bot. You'll start to see that a common thing that's happening now is they have these little chat bots that will automatically ask you questions, and based on your answer, it'll ask you another question or give you the information you're asking for. And then eventually, if you're trying to get a hold of a real person, it can actually put you in touch with a real person instead. And you'll be able to build chat bots as well at some point within all this. Okay?
Okay.
So this is the sales site for Zoom, pretty straightforward. Here's the sales site for Webflow, right? Build better business websites faster without coding. So that sounds like something you should be able to do, right? Build a website fast without coding. So their thing is they have a tagline, they have what it is that they do, they have some screenshots from their software, and then some companies who use their stuff. Then they start to show you can build websites. You can launch your website and get, however many views. It'll show you how many people came to your site. You can grow your website, and this is showing how to edit the site really easy.
Right.
And they even have tools like a university. So if I click on university, you'll see not only does Webflow give you the software to use, well, guess what? They also have an entire training course. So if you wanted to start learning website and building your own site, one of the first things I would have you do is click on the Webflow 101 crash course and start learning, right? So one of your pieces of homework actually is going to be to look at that. So if I go back to your task board, under homework, actually, let's see here. Yeah, let's put this here. So lesson 1, you're going to look through Webflow courses. So before you even take a course, what I want you to do is just get a feel for what's available, right? You want to understand what the whole curriculum is. So a lot of the times people will come in and they'll just jump right in. They'll click on the first course and they'll just watch the intro and start taking the class, right?
Yeah.
But what's better for learning, and we're going to learn a lot of learning skills, is to get a feeling for what's the total things that you can learn. So it breaks down into getting started. You'll learn about the elements of a website, how to design sites, CMS, we'll have to figure out what a CMS means. E-commerce, that's straightforward. You'll learn how to make money with these sites or how to set up products. Your settings, all these things, right? Hosting, templates, account, and billing. Okay, so it's a pretty holistic, this is the holistic picture of what they have. That's their table of contents. And then they have courses like Webflow Crash Course, sounds a little more technical. Freelancer's Journey, that sounds kind of cool. That's getting clients and content strategy. You're going to like this one, I bet, the Freelancer's Journey. Moving your business online, that's pretty straightforward. So if you know somebody who has a business, after you watch this class, you'd be able to basically tell them more about how they can bring their business online. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then there's other things like an e-commerce class or how to create a portfolio, ultimate web design course, or intro to web design. So they have some cool stuff here. Or you could just jump into some of their most popular tutorials as well. And you don't have to take it in a specific order. If you need to learn one specific thing, you can search and maybe you find the answer to how to do that. So yeah, that's the basics, moving business. What's that include? Developing communication strategy, creating and updating a website, interesting stuff. Okay. I definitely recommend this Freelancer's Journey, looks cool. Now I will tell you though, that these classes take hours sometimes. So you need to decide, maybe just watching the video intro is going to give you the overview and that's all you really need to know. You're constantly going to be picking and choosing, is this worth my time to watch? I think that this particular course may be the best one, the Freelancer career. But that only matters if you're interested in web design or if you're interested in selling web design, because this will teach you what is the freelancer's journey. So what would you go through as a web designer? It would teach you how to get clients, how to write proposals and gather research for your proposals, how to send the proposal, what meetings are like with your clients, how to price your work, and what is the scope of work, meaning if you're going to do a website project, you have to give the client an understanding. Here's the scope of work. Here's how big of a project it is. Here's the timeline. And here's how we're going to meet that. And based on that scope of work, you're able to offer the pricing and set client expectations. So that is a class through that's free, I believe, through Webflow. So let's go back. So we were at we were in the university page, and we looked through the home page, and let's see what else. Down here, there's some other cool stuff, like, for instance, interactions. So one thing that's cool about Webflow is you can build these beautifully animated websites. So you can do stuff where as you move up and down the page, things go up and down. You can do things where as you're scrolling, things can move left and right. You can set it just using drag and drop, right? You can set it so that, things kind of come together like a puzzle. So you can build beautiful animations into your pages. And so here's all kinds of cool ones. This one follows your mouse. So it's got a 3D effect, right? So imagine if each one of these represented a song. And as you move your mouse around, it kind of gives it a cool little like record cover and the name of the song by Mars, and hit like or hit play underneath. This is a multi-step animation. So that did like 8 things in order to reveal what was available on that information. So long story short, you get the opportunity to make some really beautiful interactive sites using this tool. Right? Imagine if your teachers in school, when they asked you to turn in a paper, instead of just turning in a document, they had you turn in a beautifully interactive, research assignment. That's what you'll be able to do with a tool like this. Mm-hmm. Okay. So all kinds of cool animations. Another cool thing to show you is their CMS feature. And then I'll show you their e-commerce, and then we'll move on from here, because we have a lot to go through today. Okay, so content management system. What is a CMS? Well, designers, editors, content strategists, and developers can use it. So for designers, you can design your page visually with real content. So basically, the CMS is a content management system. It allows you, once you've designed your site, it makes it really easy to switch out the images and the text on your site just by clicking on the image and making changes, or by uploading files. So for instance, if you wanted to have all your songs, like here's a list of songs, different music and playlists, you could basically build like a list of all your stuff in a spreadsheet, select what the images are, and then upload that spreadsheet, and it will put all 32 songs in there for you automatically, right, because you designed it so that it can fill in the boxes based on the spreadsheet. Mm-hmm. And this is going to sound pretty complex right now. I'm just giving you the big picture overview of what these things can do. And then one step at a time, we'll start to learn how to do it and do it together. Cool?
Yeah.
And yeah, one of the great things about our approach that we're going to do is we're not just looking at stuff or just watching videos. We're actually going to learn by doing. And by the time you're done doing, you've actually got stuff that you'll be able to use and show, forever. So, okay, I'm going to stop with Webflow for now. One thing that is cool is most websites you can log in at the top right. So if you have an account or make an account, I have an account. I need to upgrade my account, but here's some different sites that I have worked on over the years. Back when I used Webflow a long time ago. I'll be making a new Webflow project here shortly. So I would just click new project, and then I can start with a beautiful theme. So some themes are free, or some you can pay for, like this one right here. If I click on preview, that one's 79 bucks, but it comes with so much built in, right? You get a landing page, 3, 4, 5, 6 different 9 landing pages to choose from. You've got company pages. So this is where you would just switch out the text for your company and show the about us. or a careers page. So if you're looking to hire people, so for instance, you mentioned that you want to have musicians work with you all the time. So on the careers page, you would have open roles for musicians to apply, or songwriters or whatever. So, and you can have actual applications there. You know, you've got pre-made contact forms and so on. So instead of needing to know how to build a website from scratch, Mars, it's already built for you. You just switch out your photos and your text, right?
Right.
So what you would be able to do is you would go back to templates, and you could browse through all the different templates and decide whether you want to start with a free one or if you want to start with a paid one. Make sense?
Yeah. Which one do you recommend?
I mean, I generally will start with whatever is best for what I'm trying to do. So if I'm trying to start a creative agency and I want to use Webflow, then I'm going to look through and see if I can find something that I like. Like, here's a creative agency. It's $79. So I'll see if the free ones do it for me first. If not, then I don't mind paying for it because I know that it's worth it.
Right.
Yeah. So like, you know, in some of these, so if you notice the way that they're categorized is like these, it'll say business, or this is a support website, or this is a law firm. So you can kind of find what you're looking for. So maybe there's a musician one here. Let's see if I can find something cool. This is a restaurateur. This is for like cool apps. If you're a videographer, this would be a good one. So I don't know. I mean, you know, here's popular tags. So let's say creative. Here's a whole bunch of creative styled themes. And a lot of apps that you use are going to have themes to choose from. So Webflow comes with a lot of themes. With websites, there's also WordPress websites, and there's places like themeforest.net that have huge libraries of themes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But these are a little bit harder to set up than a tool like Webflow. So that's it for websites for now. You have your basic website builders like Webflow. Squarespace is another one. And then you have more complicated things like building WordPress sites. Just like what I showed you with Webflow, this company Squarespace, you literally just pick a template, start changing the text, and it's that easy. And they host it for you and everything. And of course, we'd want to see what their pricing is. Let's see. So if we roll over products, I'm assuming pricing should be here somewhere. Weird. Maybe if we scroll down to the bottom. So these guys are trying to hide their pricing so that you would click to get started and see how that works. Oh, there it is. So let's go back to the bottom and hit pricing right there. And here's your pricing. So their most expensive plan is $40 a month. You know, and you can choose whether you pay annually or pay monthly. So you save 30%, it goes up to $46 a month if you pay month to month, which is still, I usually pay month to month, unless I know I'm going to keep it. So that's an example. So let's say you had either Webflow or Squarespace, you would add $40 a month to your monthly budget, okay? If you decide to build a website. I think that's going to be about right. So up next, let's talk about Fiverr. Sound good?
Yeah.
So let's say you wanted someone to help you with Webflow. You didn't want to just learn it yourself. You didn't want to take the time, or you need help with something. If you can't get a support from them, you can go to Fiverr or other websites that let you search for help. And if we type in Webflow, they may even have some specialists who help with Webflow. So here's a bunch of people ranging from $50 to $60, $100. I mean, some of these guys will build you entire websites for very, very cheap, right? Starting at $125 for a site. Or this guy says he can do it starting at $5. So anything you can imagine that you need, let's say you need a logo and you don't want to do it yourself. If I search logo, there's tons of people that'll make you a logo, and you just look around until you find one that you like, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you like that person's style, you can write them a little prompt of what you want. So if you wanted a video logo, You can even have people who will make you animated logo like intros for your videos and stuff. Really just about anything you can imagine. If you need people to help you with blog posts or testimonial videos, there's all kinds of great stuff related to music that you can hire through here. So if you have a song that you made in Ableton, you can send it for as little as $25 for this guy to mix and master. And of course, if you click on it, you can see the basic service is $25. Standard service maybe has a little bit extra, and premium a little bit more, and you can change timeline and stuff. And then once you're doing it, you can manage your orders by clicking on messages. And that's that simple. So that's Fiverr. I'm going to go ahead and, oops. So up next is Toby. So you can see I have a ton of tabs at the top, right?
Right.
And this is a big problem with web browsing, is that people get overloaded with tabs and then they have to close them. And if they close them, then they kind of forget about that stuff, right?
Right.
So bookmarking is important, and Toby is one of the best bookmarking tools I've seen. Okay, I made the mistake of doing this in an incognito window. Let me go ahead and pull up a regular website. 1 second. Okay, so let's say we've got 3 websites up: Fiverr.com, Webflow, Zoom.us, MeisterTask, we'll do 5, and SalesMate. Okay, so what I'll do is, if I want to save these all, I have a little extension here called Toby. So if I click on that little T, I can save all these as a session. So it just closes all my tabs, and it's going to save them, assuming it does it right. Come on. And it saves them May 1st, as these are the tabs that I just saved. And if I want to open them back up anytime, I can come back here and hit open 5 tabs. And it just opened them back up, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the nice things. It's really easy to find past tabs. And then you can start to arrange these. So this would be, I can name this. So if I click on these 3 little dots here, let's see here, edit title. So I can change this to Mars Lesson 1. And so let's say that I've got some, we closed these out, we saved those. And let's say we also want to bring in Miro and QuickBooks and G Suite. So we'll talk about these next. If I want to save those 3 in your list, let's see here. Just a second. So I'll close that. I would just go back to click the Toby button.
Mm-hmm.
And I would open Toby. And here's the Mars Lesson 1, and I can just drag just one of these if I want into here. So now I just added Miro to your list of bookmarks for Lesson 1. And from there, we can actually start to get really organized. So check this out, Mars. Like, I've got a list of applications, and those applications are categorized by different application types. So here was from a long time ago when I was doing research. Here's 4 streaming tools. Here's a bunch of Windows apps I liked. So I've got it super organized where I have all these like bookmark lists. And if I wanted to open up everything related to Salesforce all at once, I just hit open 8 tabs and I can see all the tabs that I had had.
Right.
So that's how I keep organized. So I can have projects and break it down into a variety of different ways. And I'm actually going to go in here and reorganize this soon. So on another training video, I'll show either how I reorganize this or build this properly from scratch. So that's a quick intro to Toby. I think it's going to be one of the first things that we install on your computer. And one thing to keep in mind is within the Chrome web browser, you have these extensions, right? These are like little tools inside the web browser. So Toby is a tool for bookmarking. Let's say that I wanted to take a screenshot of the whole page. Here's a tool I installed called Awesome Screenshot that literally will take a whole picture of a page. So let's get rid of this little X. And if I do that, I can choose to take just a snapshot of just part of the page, or the entire page. So it's going through and it's taking a snapshot of the whole page, stringing it together, and making it so that you can either copy or save. So first I can like make notes, right? Like there's your plans and pricing, right? So I can make notes, draw arrows, you know, see how it works. I can
Hey,
crop it, type on it, so on, and hit done. And then you can save it from there. What was your question?
oh, I was wondering, is there like, let's say like you download an ebook, is there any like special app you can download where it can read the ebook to you? Like
Yes, I
Audible?
believe there is. That would be a Google search away, but let's hold off on that for now. Cool.
Sure.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, anytime, actually, let's not hold up on it because anytime you have a question, you know, you can just type in ebooks, you know, how to have an app read me a book. I mean, just don't be afraid to search, right? Like a lot of people will call their friend who's techie before they do anything. And it's like, no, the answers are right here. Make your phone read to you. Speechify text reader. Okay, text, you'll start to see screen reader or text reader, free reading apps, voice read text. So you can start to get a feel, okay, maybe I can do best text reader. Oops. Best ebook text reader. Usually if you use the word best, you can find best, you know, here's best text to speech software 2020. That's a great link. So another time we'll talk about search skills and how to get really good at search. And I can get even better at this. But Amazon Polly is an app that'll read to you. All these ads are annoying. By the way, one of my extensions is ad blocker. So sometimes sites will ask you to stop blocking ads on their page. And you can do that if you want. But anyways, Amazon Polly, if you upload a Word document or something, it'll read it. It'll turn it into something that you can read or that'll read it to you. And there's some other apps here that can do reading, Captivoice and so on. Natural Reader, powerful text to speech for home and work. So you asked a question, and one of the great things about the internet is you're almost always going to find an answer in a video right away. So there's an example. Notice again, there are 3 key things that they do are right there. And then they tell you more. All right, so that's that. So I'm going to start cranking through this stuff a lot faster. Google Docs is pretty straightforward. That's a great online collaborative tool for making slideshows. It's a great, Gmail is great for email, and I can show you some Gmail tips to work Gmail better, spreadsheets and all kinds of stuff. And this is also where you can build emails for other members of your team. So as you build your team, you can give them email addresses at your business. So that's that. So we talked about Toby. I'm going to close that. We talked about Fiverr. We talked about Webflow. That was a Webflow template. We talked about Squarespace real quick. Talked about Zoom again, and we can add here if we need to, or I can do that after the call. QuickBooks. To start, you're going to do your accounting in a spreadsheet because there's no reason to pay a monthly fee. But as you're ready to send invoices to your clients and keep track of more sales and keep track of your expenses and all that, QuickBooks is a great tool that you'll be able to, every time you buy something on behalf of your business, guess what? Just go to QuickBooks and fill in the expense, or take a snapshot of the receipt and it'll load it in automatically for you. So these are all tools. What's going to happen is, Mars, you're going to get comfortable using software. So after a while, all software starts to look the same. They usually have a login button at the top right. They usually have like a menu on the left, right? And then you just get used to clicking and dragging, and each one serves a purpose. So rather than having to really learn everything in depth, it's more like, oh, it's just another piece of software. I know how to use this. That's where we want to get you, where it's second nature to you even before you use it. Cool?
Yeah.
So that's an intro to QuickBooks. Microsoft Office, I'll show you Teams in just a second. I know music's really important to you, and this is going to be a great tool for learning music. We don't have to go through it right now, but it'll teach you digital music, and all you need is a MIDI keyboard. This is a nice little anecdote. Definitely want you to consider, as you start stepping up your game, what does your desk look like? Even if it's just a laptop on a table, you know, and how long are you sitting? How long are you laying back? You know, are you sitting up straight? Are you hunched over? You know, are you moving between sitting and standing? So like right now, my desk raises and lowers, and this allows me to be more comfortable, more productive. My back doesn't hurt. And I just press a button on my desk and it raises. If you don't have that, you can literally just put like, I don't know, a chair on top of your desk, or like, there's all kinds of ways to do it, but it's really nice to be able to switch from standing, even if you have to just come up with a way to figure it out. Make sense?
Yeah.
Constantly be thinking about, am I comfortable? Because you don't want to be hurting your body or hurting yourself. So always be trying to sit up straight, stand up straight, make sure you're comfortable while you're doing your work. So that's just a little side note. ClickFunnels we're going to skip, I think, for now. I'll come back to funnels in depth a little bit later. Although, actually, no, let's do it. So the way a funnel works is, in their example, maybe you see an ad or you tell someone about your website and they come to a landing page. We try to get their email address before they can see anything. So we get their email address, and then we show them a sales page. Hey, for $25, you know, watch this video and I'm going to tell you about all these amazing features, and you can press buy for $25. So if they say, okay, yeah, I want it, then they go to a sales page, a checkout page where you can get their money from a credit card or whatever. And then after they say yes and they put in their credit card, you can say, oh, by the way, would you also like to add something on? Would you also like to buy something else? And if it was a membership program, after they choose what they want to buy, they could then access the membership area. So that's an example of a funnel that is trying to get you into membership. They get your email first, just in case you don't buy, so that they can keep marketing to you. They show you a sales page. They let you have a checkout system. They try and sell you more stuff, and then they let you become a member. So that's an example of a 5-step funnel. And this tool, ClickFunnels, gives you all kinds of pre-made templates for making money. So Webflow is more about building beautiful pages, and they have some e-commerce functionality and whatnot. Whereas a tool like ClickFunnels, it builds websites too. It may not be as pretty as Webflow, but it's very fast, and it's all about, they give you templates for making money. So this template right here, Sell Your Products, is all about one page that has the checkout already on the same page. So the idea is, if you don't have to send them to a separate page, maybe you can get an order faster, and you can test what works and what doesn't with this tool. From there, once you get someone's email or their contact info, you can build these automated sequences through Facebook messages or text messages or emails or Facebook or whatever. You're constantly showing them pre-programmed sequence of events, like, you know, on day 1, send them an email. On day 3, send them a text, and follow-up sequences. So this is a tool. I don't think their homepage does the best job of selling their stuff, but hey, they've tested a lot of stuff and they know. So basically, they have a web page editor. It's not quite as pretty as Webflow, but it works in this drag and drop, and you can click to change text. They have a tool called Backpack. So if you set up a really cool sales page, Mar, so let's say you set up a sales page that says, I'll make you a song for $3,000. Do you have your attention?
Yeah.
Cool. So let's say that you've got a sales page that says, I'll sell you a song for $3,000, and, you know, for every $500 in ads that you spend, you get a sale. Well, that's pretty good. You might want to share that with other people who can make money too. So Backpack is a tool that comes with ClickFunnels that lets you create affiliate accounts. So other people could sign up to sell your services, and it'll automatically pay them out whatever portion you want, maybe 20 or 25% would automatically get paid to the sales rep using the system. So this ClickFunnels is just a series of tools for building funnels, but we'll get into that later. Here's our boy Ty Lopez. let's do this quick. So Ty Lopez, he's got a ton of social media. That social media is driving customers back to his website, as well as back to the ads that point to individual courses and things he sells. He sells a lot of different programs and educational material. So he makes a course once and he can sell it forever, right? That's one of the cool things about making educational material. You make something, you put up a sales page, and for as long as you drive traffic, it may keep on selling. And at this point, many years into his career, he's got a whole bunch of classes to teach, and he's constantly posting free information, and then stuff like his social media agency you can sign up for behind, to pay to join. So that's Ty Lopez. You asked me about design thinking, right? So you can actually learn a lot, Mars, by looking at design firms that are already out there. So for instance, RKS Design is a great design firm. I happen to have worked for them. Here's a company called Frog Design, right? They do some beautiful stuff, and they do all kinds of work like touchscreens, and they design cameras, and they design products and all kinds of cool stuff, experientials. So you could just study these guys, and literally without having to go and take a college course from Stanford on how to, do design theory, you can just go to one of the companies that makes millions of dollars per client and click See Our Approach. And you can learn more about growth strategy, or learn more about customer experience, or, what is the product design and delivery process? I mean, this is such a great educational experience. I didn't even know this was here. I just remembered Frog Design as a top industrial design firm. And now I'm being reminded, oh my gosh, this is a great resource for just, catching up on their approach and integrating some of that into what I'm doing within my design firm, right? And so mimicry is really a great thing that you can do. You can learn from the best of the best. In fact, my friend Max, who I want to introduce you to earlier today, he was saying one of his tasks for today is to make a list of 100 people that he admires, and would like to learn from. So that's actually going to be a good homework, right? Make a list of 100 people you admire and want to learn from, or model, not 1,000. And you don't have to start with all 100, but over time, as people come to you, you'll just add them in. So you can add them to the checklist, right? So you're starting to see this is a really cool tool for filing and keeping track of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I can do this where I can assign it to you. So if I hit that little corner thing, that's who it's assigned to. So I can hit that and assign it to Mars. I can open it up and put a due date on this. So let's say by next week, I want you to try and have as many people in this list as you can. Cool?
Yeah.
Okay. You can also tag it with colors. So you can tag that task with colors, and you can do all kinds of cool stuff. So now we have a thing that's due on May 8th. Okay, how are you doing right now? You feeling good? A little more?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So before I keep on showing you more tools, it's like, oh my gosh, you're going to be using so many tools. How the heck are you going to keep organized, right? Like, that's so many tabs, and you have to remember, oh, I had a mind map here and a website here and a this there, right? It's a pain in the butt. Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, talking about solving problems, you asked me earlier about if you could solve a problem, will people pay for that? Well, right now, this is a major problem that so many of us have, especially people like me who use a lot of tools and browse a lot of sites. And up until recently, this was really the best way I could get organized, was a ton of tabs and having that tool Toby that I showed you for saving bookmarks. But now I've got this program called Microsoft Teams that just is fantastic. So Microsoft said, hey, we see a problem, let's come up with a solution. And they did. So Microsoft Teams came up with a way that you can build different departments of your company. I happen to have a really, really big company in terms of the number of departments. I'll show you a simpler one in a second. But I have this now filing system that if I go to my secretary team, I can basically go, okay, studio binder. I know that my secretary studio binder is going to be under secretary team studio binder. And this is something that they use to organize people and scripts and all kinds of stuff. I know that my executive team, when I have a business plan, I can add it here. I can have a conversation with people about my business plan, anyone who's part of this group, and I can add links. So I can add links to files like a Word document or anything else. I can add a link to that task board I showed you. I can go to website and add a link to a website and just put that there. And then that website would always live within the business plan channel. So I use this as a tool to keep track of stuff. As an example, right now, I'm looking for dealers and distributors to sell the Smart Desk. And I believe command center dealers are going to be a good first start. So in here, I can leave messages between me and my assistants or anyone on my team. I can have a conversation or drop links in here, whatever. So this is like a chat room related to command center dealers. And at the top, I've got any files that I saved related to that. So I should have one file in here that I made. Yep, so here's this image that I made. So that exists inside this channel. Close that. So it saves your files. And then here I saved websites for 3 different companies that sell command centers. So now, you know, I was researching command centers at 11 o'clock at night, so I wasn't going to be able to just call them and see if I could sell them. So instead, I saved them here in command centers. And as I do more research or ask my assistants to do more research, I can say, hey, assistants, can you please put the top 10 command center sites that you can find here? And I'll come in and give some feedback, and then we can start calling them and sending them proposals. So that's that. Make sense?
Yeah.
So, you know, if I click on Jam, Justin Allen Massian, I've got things like my daily planner, and I've got links to different planning tools that I have. So, for instance, here's a Miro board. Miro is like an infinite whiteboard that you can keep information on. So it's just loading. It takes just a second to load because there's so much information. But check this out. So as I zoom out, this right here is this giant canvas. And I've got a flow chart at the top. And then I have individual pages for each day. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and all the data I put down for Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday is in here. And so I can see all this data is information that I kept track of for an entire week, right? Because I made, on Monday, I designed what all the fields are, and then I copied it, pasted it, and then on Tuesday, I filled it in with all the unique things for Tuesday. So that's an example. And so you have like little Post-its that you can move around on the page. All these are like little Post-its, or you can put text in, you can put boxes, you can put flow charts. It really is this like infinite canvas software that's really cool, right? So, and then, you know, so this was one way that I was organizing information. And then recently I said, no, I want to do it in a spreadsheet form instead. Oh, oops, this is no. So let's say I wanted to put my spreadsheet one in here. I'm not sure why I didn't put it in. Let's see if it's under monthly plan. I don't know. I haven't done it yet. So this is still a new system. So this is a perfect example. I went to my daily planner and it wasn't there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my Google Docs, or my Google Drive, I should say. Let's see here. Let me pull up a web browser. Let's go to Google Drive. And I'm going to go find that document and put it in place. It's actually a Google Sheet. So here it is, Justin's daily planner. I'll right click on it and hit get shareable link. Okay, so link sharing's on. I can edit it. Perfect. So now I have a link. So these 3 steps that I just took, imagine if every time I wanted to pull up my day planner, I had to open a browser, I had to go to Google Drive, I had to wait for it to load, and then I had to find it in the list or search for that file. So I don't want to have to do that again. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit the plus sign in the daily planner channel, add it as a website. Boom, boom. Change the name. And I know you're not here, but you're going to watch this when we're done, and I'll show you a recap in a second. So that was my sheet, my planner sheet. So I give it a name. And from now on, I've got 2 Miro boards. So I've got that April Miro board, my November one, and then I've got my Google Sheet. So just like that. And so Google Sheets lives in here, and I can duplicate it and use it as a template. And every day I can keep track if that's what I choose using this template. So I'll go ahead and hit pause until you're back. Okay, so we're back on recording. So what you missed was I was just finishing showing how to add a tab, but I will show that to you a little bit later. For now, let's go ahead and jump into a different team. So let's go to Sanctuary Love. This is a nice, simple setup. The one I showed you earlier, I have a lot of stuff, and that is a big company designed to emulate Apple or Microsoft. This, on the other hand, is only one team, like one. So this group is called a team in Teams, and then these are called channels. It's really a group. So Sanctuary Love is the group. That's the name of the company. Under management, I've got the task board. So we did something similar to what you and I started doing. So let me go ahead and log in. Okay, so under management, here's our to-do list. And you can see we got everything done that we plan to do for this project. Okay. We had a tool called Notion, which is for documents. And then here's the link to Dropbox with, in this case, just the logo in here. Okay. So under management, you have those things. Under BizPlan and Deck, we created a PowerPoint. So if I wanted to come in and edit the PowerPoint, I'd always know that it's in BizPlan and Deck, and I can come in here and make changes to it. We've got a CRM under the CRM channel. So there's HubSpot, which is a CRM that we picked for his business. Let's see here. So here we can log right in. We've got his website. So here's the site itself. So instead of him having to go to these .coms or find these things individually every time he closes his web browser, every time he logs into his Teams hub, it's just there exactly where things are supposed to be. So here's his website. If he wants to edit his website, he clicks on admin and logs in and edits his site. And we even did a mock-up of what the website would look like using this tool right here, which of course, if we sign in, we'd be able to see. And then graphics. So for graphics, we're going to use a tool called Canva. So when he needs to get graphics done, he just logs into Canva and he can design graphics. So it was really nice and simple. The plus button right here. So if we wanted to add another tool, let's say a link to Adobe's website for Photoshop and stuff. So I can just say the website's going to be named Adobe, and we put in the link. And hit save. What did I do wrong here? Oh, I put one too many T's. That's funny. So one thing that this program does make you do, which is kind of silly, is you have to put in HTTPS://. But let's hit save. And so now I've added under his graphics department, here's a second tool or website that's useful. And every time someone comes into this department, those same sites and tools are available. So does that make sense, Mars? Like how we use this as a tool to really get organized and turn your company into departments and such?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'll show you one other one, New Turf Technologies. I won't go too in depth with it. This is smaller than mine, but still a nice size team. So you can see that I've broken things down into the sales team, the executive team, the administrative team. So if I wanted to see our expenses, I'd click on accounting, and then there'd be a tab for expenses right there, or a tab for QuickBooks. Creative team. So like if I want to see the website, I always know I can just go to creative team and click on website. And here comes the website. Takes just a second to load. Now, if it doesn't load correctly, which I'm not sure why it's not. Oh, I know why. It's because I have it password protected. But let's say that you're using a tool like under accounting. Let's say I'm using QuickBooks, and I just don't want to use it inside this hub. I have a few options. So number one, I can make QuickBooks full screen by clicking that. So it just hides the menu on the left. Or I can click this little world to go to the website. And so that'll pull it up as a website on a new tab in your browser. And you can do it in normal browsing. So if for any reason a website gives you a hard time inside of Teams, inside the hub itself, you can just click here to open the site elsewhere. So anyways, yeah, this is the company. You know, here's all the product design related topics and links for those, marketing related topics and links. And so now this company, as we start recruiting more and more people to the company, it's really a beautiful place for us to have conversations and to share the tools that we use and the files we use according to the team. So that's the basics. You also have chat and video chat and screen sharing. So here was a little chat with Joe, and I would be able to click new and add more people. So I can do chat groups or individual chats with people from the team. And if I wanted to call, let's go back to Joe. Normally it shows something on the left, but I should be able to dial from here. So oops, maybe that's why. Oh, it's because I have to start a new message. But anyways, you would be able to click a little video button here and it would start a video call. And within Teams, you can start video calls and meetings and all kinds of stuff, which I'll show you another time. To create a new team, you just click join or create a team. You add the details and it'll add another team down here. So that's the basics of Teams. Still with me?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So let's start wrapping this up slowly but surely. Still have a few more tabs to go through. Let's see what we've got left. So I have not taken you through SalesMate. We talked about Melodics. We talked about Tye. Here's RKS Design. This is another company like Frog Design who I showed you. Great place to learn about a top industrial design firm and what products they've created. And if you click their menu, they also have an approach button. And so you can learn about how they approach in this really cool map: research, synthesis, key attractors, hero's journey, design, execution, moments of truth. Like, this is cool. And they have a little workbook that you can click here and download. So you can read through here, and if you really want to learn more, download the workbook. And they'll ask you for your email and stuff, and they'll email it to you, or you can download it from right here. So they're trying to capture people's information because they know if you or potentially someone who's, a potential customer fills out this form, they know to follow up, right?
Yes.
Cool. All right. And by the way, going back to that conversation about posture, I was starting to get tired of standing, so now I'm sitting and I move my desk accordingly. Okay, so we talked about that. We talked about Frog Design's approach. And for me, I think a lot of the times it's cool to really just focus on one and spend hours and hours and hours. But at the same time, sometimes it's nice to just get an overview of a few of them. And there's a process called photo reading where when you're scrolling through websites, your subconscious is actually collecting quite a bit of information. And we can talk about photo reading and Peter Scheele another time. Peter is a guy, I think it's Peter, or Paul Scheele. He teaches this process called photo reading, which he originally designed for books, but it works beautifully well when you're browsing the web. Collaboration. Most of these tools that I've showed you today are great for collaboration. They can have multiple mouses at the same time. So I could be using this app and your mouse might be here and the manager's mouse is here, and we're all able to move things around at the same time. Google Docs lets you do that. Miro lets you do that. So as we're getting in, it's 2020, as we get into better and better technology, all these tools are much better at having multiple people edit things at the same time. So that's Miro. Mind maps are fun. I love making mind maps, and I think you will too. So on one of our next calls, we'll probably make a mind map to get you more organized. And then what's great about this particular tool, so you can build a mind map and then turn it into a Meister task board. So this is really designed to be able to kind of flow your thoughts out in mind map form and then assign those thoughts, those ideas or tasks to each individual person on the team. Great. So yeah, that's mind mapping. And mind mapping is just a great way to organize new ideas, new projects, clients, whatever it is. Calendar. As you can tell, I've got a pretty busy calendar. I don't block everything out in advance. My week next week is probably pretty open. I can create a tool that lets me say, okay, on Monday from this time to this time, and Thursday from this time to this time, I'm available. And it knows that the times that I'm not available to take my name off the list. So like what I mean by that is I'll show you. So Calendly is a good example. So sorry, I didn't make too much sense there. So one thing that's popular now is that people can set appointments with you. So there's tools like Calendly, and this website's not doing a good job. Let's try Acuity. So there's a lot of tools online like Calendly and Acuity Scheduler. One second. There we go, Acuity. Tons of tools online for being able to let people book appointments with you. So you could send out a cold email that says, hey, my name is Mars and I do this, this, and this. Go ahead and click this link to book an appointment. And they would go to your appointment link and they could either book a paid appointment or a free appointment. And based on you telling the software what times you like to be available, it'll know based on your calendar whether you're even available during those times and people can book you. And it will stop people from double booking you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, as you'll either be offering free appointments or you can offer paid appointments, and this is where people will sign up. So in the future, rather than us getting on a phone call and saying, hey, when would you like to schedule? I might just send you a link and you can choose what time's best for you and it'll automatically send out a Zoom meeting and everything. Cool?
Yeah.
Cool. So you've got your MacBook. I was just going to get into hardware stuff, but we're going to skip that. We talked about, so there's a lot of really great resources online for learning. Some are paid, some are free. This company is pretty cool. If you're looking to get into any level of like design or design services, if you want to sell that type of stuff or do that type of stuff, if you wanted to learn about typography or brands or motion design, like how that happens, logos, graphics, whatever, this is a good site for learning that stuff. But it's even better, and I think, in terms of like teaching you things like project management. And they have a whole course on project management. And you can decide if you like this guy's teaching style. You may or may not. I know for me, it's not worth spending the money, but some of their templates might be what I want. So it's just a cool site. You can check it out later if you want, thefuture.com with no E at the end. And you can see what they have to offer. And what I want you to do, Mars, as you're looking through these sites, just constantly be evaluating, like, what was their approach to site design? Do you like it or do you not? Like for me, the site's not actually very well designed because everything's too big that I'm like not even knowing what this is all about yet. It's too big. It's weird. I don't like this site. I definitely am not going to do it that way for me. But at the same time, I can see some value here because they do have cool products. So something to keep in mind is how to evaluate, because we as consumers spend so much time looking at websites, Mars. We might as well be learning something while we're doing it and evaluating and making it so that when we design our own sites and our own businesses, we have so much data in our heads that we can just spit them out quick. Cool?
Yeah.
All right, I think we're on the last thing to show you for tonight. So one of the things that I'm working on now is, as we're in this COVID pandemic and as people are going to meetings on Zoom and video chat more often, it's really important that you stand out with a professional environment, like your background. My background right now isn't the most professional, but it reflects me in some way. So what is the camera looking at? How do you look? How do you interact with the camera? How are you entertaining, educational, whatever it is you're trying to do? How do you build your brand and your personality? Well, in 2020 with this COVID pandemic, this is kind of the time to start figuring that out, right? Like, this isn't a great opportunity. You're kind of forced into this position of, okay, I've got to start spending more time on camera. How do I do it the best way possible? So there's tools like XSplit, which are for setting up streaming. So it makes it really easy to like set up a theme for your stream. And so when you and I are doing these video chats in the future, I'll be able to make the video chats look really, really beautiful and have beautiful framing and theming and all kinds of stuff for the lessons. So this is a tool that does that. There's a variety of tools out there. So XSplit is a tool that lets you set up these beautiful like broadcast streams. There's OBS, which is a little more complex to use, but it's very popular for, again, doing streaming and video capture and all that. Too technical lead for me. In fact, there's a company, OBS Labs, let's see. Here we go. There's a company called Streamlabs that took that OBS software and made a simpler version of it. And they're all about getting on Twitch and YouTube and Facebook. But long story short, these are good tools for if you want to get into streaming. Or another thing that you can do is, let's see here, streaming templates. So as you build out these beautiful Twitch overlay type of things for your brand, you don't have to use them to broadcast on Twitch. You can use them for like Zoom calls like you and I are having. So what if my Zoom call, instead of it just being my face and my screen, I was able to put like my face in these. And if I had to walk away for a minute, I could be like, stream offline, or, in the beginning, I could have this beautiful animation that it started. So these softwares will actually make it so that when we're Zooming, either individually or we're creating online content or doing something live, we have this beautifully branded interactive system around everything we do. And we'll have little buttons somewhere on our screen, or actual physical buttons that can say, okay, I'm walking away, put up the I walked away screen. Or like if you got a donation, make it so it automatically has a donation that pops up on the screen. There's all kinds of cool elements that you can do while you're broadcasting, because we are in this different time now where we are these personal people who are broadcasting all the time on a one-on-one level, on a group level, on a level where we're saving it for later. So how do we put our best selves out there? And I'm going to get to that way later. But the big thing today was just giving you this big overview. It's a lot, right? But it's just important for you to get the big picture so that we can then take our time with the individual pieces. So future meetings will probably still be a little overwhelming, but we can make it easier if you need to. However, we'll start to get more focused and we'll start to get more action based. And some of the time I'll be moving the mouse and I'll be moving really fast, but it's really important that I give you the time to actually like click the buttons, because that's how you're going to remember where things are. I'm so quick that I already know where the buttons are, so I'm pretty quick at stuff. And to set up some basics, it's usually good for me to do that just because it's faster, good, efficient use of time. But I do always need to remember, hey, give you the opportunity to take control so that you can lock it into your brain, because I'm not always going to be there with you while you're running your apps and building sites and setting up teams or making sales or whatever. So something to keep in mind is you're going to learn by doing. And I'm going to give you as much opportunity to see me do than have you do it. And I can walk away knowing that you now know how to use that software. Make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So you got time for one more piece of the puzzle?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. So the final piece of the puzzle I'm going to show you today is CRM. CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management System. So you usually have project management systems, you have a hub like Microsoft Teams, and then you have your CRM. Your CRM is basically the world's best phone book, okay? Like right now, when you make phone calls, you're calling out of a phone book. It's not giving you great reminders. It's not like keeping track of the sales activity, all that stuff. With a proper CRM, you can design sales pipelines. You can have pre-templated emails. It keeps track of all your activities, every history you had with that person. You can call and text right from within the software. You can put in automations that says, as an example, if somebody goes from I just presented a proposal to them to I sent them a quote, I can move them from one area of the pipeline to another, and it creates sales reports and all kinds of good stuff. So this is an example of a CRM. I'll let you learn more about this later, but your CRM basically has tools like sales pipelines, managing contacts, sending emails and being able to track when they were read, great calling features and texting features, and so on. So that's what comes with a CRM. It's basically like upgrading from normal email and normal phone book to like something that is just out of this world wonderful. And this is an example of pipelines. So basically in pipelines, here's people who are qualified. So they have $1.6 million of potential deals in the qualified pipeline. And when somebody goes from being qualified to we gave them a presentation, then you move that opportunity. So this is a $90,000 opportunity. Okay, it's one step closer to our goal. We're going to move it to the right because we already presented it. And the next thing we need to do is contact her again and then send a quote. So my goal is to move people through the pipeline all the way to winning their business or winning that job. So that's how pipelines work, is you set up these columns that represent the stages of a deal, and you move people through those columns, through that pipe, towards becoming, cash. And I have a better example visually to show you. Keep is another similar type of program. It's a little bit too simple for me, but it is a good one to get started with. And one thing I like about their website is it shows a really nice animation. So you move Paul from appointments to quotes, and we now that Jasmine has paid her invoice, we move her to invoices paid. That's an example of a pipeline. Make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, and of course you can automate sales and all that stuff with these things. So that was a lot of information. As you could tell, all that information does beautifully fit inside of Teams. So in the future, you won't have to jump around so much. We'll bookmark those things. So on a future call, we're going to make a Teams account for you. Probably first, we're going to learn a little bit more. In fact, let's go ahead and open up MeisterTask. So let's say lesson 2. We're going to do a mind map with you. So I'll ask you a bunch of questions, and we'll map out kind of what are your goals, who are your main contacts, what tools are you using, things like that. So we'll make a mind map on the next call and understand your goals and whatnot. And then on the call after that, probably we'll start setting up teams. And once you have teams set up, then you're going to have a place to file and manage your stuff. And then I can start to teach you about actually what it's like to work with secretaries and build teams and how to use each individual team. And based on your interests, we can, start working on CRM or start working on a website or whatever it is that's of interest to you and your goals. We'll start to focus in on what you want to learn next. But I think the initial 3 meetings are going to be, while lesson 1 is done, I will update this list later for future use. So lesson 2 is going to be about mind mapping. Lesson 3 will be setting up teams. And then once teams is set up, you now have your hub. And congratulations, dude, like you're going to have a system to flow. So that's the lesson for today. You there?
Yeah, cool.
Awesome. So any questions for me?
Yeah, I do, but so is this part of the video going online or?
Yeah, so if you want, we can pause the video. I'll ask you a couple final questions, but if you want to ask any questions that you can have on recording, now's a good time to do that. If you have questions you want me to not record, just tell me.
Yeah, I just have some questions that I wanted to ask you without recording.
Okay, perfect. In that case, before you ask me those questions, what did you think of this lesson? Is there anything you'd like me to do different or better? And was it useful? Tell me what you thought.
Yeah, I mean, it looked pretty good. I saw the overview of what's going to happen today. I'm kind of curious what's going to happen in the future over the next 3 months, like what I'm going to be learning or like how deep we're going to dive into design thinking.
Mhm.
Um,
Totally. So yeah, I mean, we're going to dive in. We're going to be very dynamic in what we choose to learn and when, very much also based on what opportunities you have in the real world, so that we're really making sure we're accomplishing things with a purpose. We're probably going to start by using simpler tools in order to get things up fast. So like, we don't need the world's best proposal software and template. We can start with a basic proposal software and template. Or for your website, Webflow is gorgeous and beautiful and amazing, but we might build your first website in Squarespace because it's even quicker to set up and it gets you started. Um,
yeah,
so we're going to get started actually building things after lesson 3. Well, I mean, lesson 3, we actually start building. In lesson 2, we start building too. So, but we'll actually start creating deliverables in the form of tangible assets you can use pretty quick. And part of design thinking, from my perspective, is how do you think through not just how do I make a pretty product or how do I just solve a problem? It's like solving a problem is one part of the puzzle, and you've got all these other pieces like how do I run a business and get a staff and stay funded and accounting and cash flow and set up a website and I need a CRM and I need a project management board and blah, blah, blah. Business is freaking complex, dude. Like, but our job is to take all that complexity and pack it into a system, and a
right.
system that is not confusing and not hard to find your way around, but a system that is organized and has the right app in the right place with the right file and the right person using it. And that's magic. When you have a staff member who's trained in a piece of software and a manager who's really good at keeping track of that person and making sure they're getting their job done, oh my gosh, it's amazing what can happen, especially when you have the cash flow and the resources to pay them what they deserve and to keep track of, okay, here's how much I paid, here's the delivery time. I know that at the end of May, based on how many people I have working and the software that they're using, the tasks I gave them, I know that this is where I'm going to be at the end of May. And I'm so excited for all this progress. And I know that that's going to set me up for everything I have to do in June, which will then take us all the way through to December and January of the next year. So lots of really beautiful opportunity to do what I call writing on time. And yeah, man, like, as long as you're patient and put in the time, there's a lot of stuff you can do offline. But one thing I can tell you is that through this, my job, first and foremost, is to get you extremely organized. If you can kind of gather organization skills and learning skills, you can learn things fast, you'll be extremely organized, and with the ability to understand, oh, software is not that complex. Like when I pull up a new software, it's just another piece of software. Like once you get rid of this idea that anything's hard, all of a sudden it gets really easy. And best of all, at a certain point where you have enough money to spend, you can have secretaries and project managers and teammates doing the work for you. Um, and the beautiful thing is, because you're starting from scratch, you have to learn each of the steps so that later you can tell other people how you want it done for you. So yeah, that's the basics. How's that sound?
Yeah, sounds great. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Any final questions before I end the recording?
Uh,
No?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. And are you feeling comfortable? Did I overwhelm you or you feel good?
No, it was pretty good. I remember the Toby app. Um, you know, all the different apps. You know, it was pretty seamless.
Cool. Love it. All right. And what I'm gonna teach you how to actually speed up videos as well. So later on, when you go to rewatch this video, you can scrub through it, or you can watch it at like 2 times the speed or 3 times the speed if you want, and you'll get more comfortable with high speed videos. Just to show you an example, let's go to YouTube. Actually, I have to do it in a new browser. One second. All right, let's pull YouTube upward. Okay, so I have this little extension called Video Speed Controller, and I'll download this for you as well. Let's say how to build a home YouTube studio.
What's going on, everyone? Kellen Red here.
So this guy's, I don't want to spend 10 minutes learning this guy's stuff. So I can kind of click through and like, okay, that looks interesting there maybe. I don't know, not really. His stuff doesn't even look good. Let's look at this guy.
Creating a studio.
Cool. So let's say 11 minutes. I don't want to spend 11 minutes of my life on this stuff, but I do want to learn it all. So I can click on the little settings button and change the playback, let's say to 1.5 speed. So if I hit play.
It's way more than just knowing what color lights to put up or what sort of couch or something to get. I made a lot of choices, including the color.
So now he's talking pretty fast, but it's not too fast. I can turn it up to 2x speed. It starts getting pretty quick.
I chose, the types of lighting, the positioning of the camera, even the lenses that I use, the positioning of this microphone really hinges on why I'm creating this content in the first place.
Okay, so that's 2 times the speed. So as you practice and work your way up from 1 time speed to 1.25 to 1.5, you can work your way up to watching videos at higher speed, which means if I watch this video at 2 times the speed, in 5.5 minutes, I've watched the whole video instead of 10.5 minutes. Pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
So we'll train your brain on how to be able to actually receive that information. And I got to the point now where with this little speed controller thing and some shortcuts, I can speed it up a lot. So you can get a good feeling actually for what this guy's saying just by turning up the speed and seeing what he's doing with like on the screen and moving things around and so on. So this just gives me a quick overview of the of what it is he's trying to show. And for depending on how people film their stuff, it can get really interesting. Like, so this guy, it's so much better watching this guy at high speed, and eventually it gets high enough speed where you don't have to hear the voice. But I'm at 15, 16, 20 times the speed almost, and turn the volume off. So I'm at 20 times the speed, and I'm getting a feeling for how this guy teaches. I'm getting a feeling for what he's teaching. And without even having to hear him, I'm actually able to follow what he's doing. So I'm taking a 46-minute course, and I'm going to get it done in maybe 2 minutes. How's that?
Cool.
Yeah. So this is one of my favorite things about my approach to all this stuff, is that it's all about getting more done in less time. If I can get 46 minutes of video in 2 minutes, that saves up a lot of time to do other things. If I can learn Webflow faster, because I'm good at learning software, then I can be building a website faster. If I can build a website faster, then I can move on and set up my CRM next and other things. So the faster I am at moving and getting through software by having more efficient tools and not doing things twice as much as possible, the better. And eventually you start making some money and you can hire people to do things so that that's one less thing you have to do, but it's still getting it done. So you go to where things are getting done without you even doing them. That is the power of efficiency. And I think that's a good note to end. So I'll go ahead and stop the recording and we can have a final conversation. And dude, thank you for joining. And I hope this was great.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Okay.